Hey everyone, and welcome to another guide video on the Long Dark survival mode. In this video I'm going to be doing a guided walkthrough for the Last Horizon tale. This is part of the Tales from the Far Territory expansion, and it takes place in survival mode. Firstly, there's a few things we need to go over before starting. Firstly, you will need to have the Tales from the Far Territory expansion. Secondly, if you have never yet played through any of the previous tales, you will have to complete these first. However, if you have already played through the previous tales, either in the save you are currently in or a previous save, you will be able to move on directly to this last tale called Last Horizon. If you are skipping over the previous tales because you've already done them, but you're in a new save, you will have to pick up the signal radio in Forsaken Airfield in order to complete this tale. So this video will be focused on the Last Horizon tale. If you need a guide for the other previous tales, Signal Void and Buried Echoes, I've left some links in the description of previous videos where I go through information for these tales. In order to make this video as clear and as easy to follow, I've broken it down into steps, and each part will show you information relevant such as routes and map locations. Let's get started. Step 1. Making sure you have the signal radio, you will need to head to the new region Sundered Pass. This is located in the Far Territories along with Forsaken Airfield, the Zone of Contamination, and Transfer Pass. Depending on where you currently are, there are various ways to get to the new region. A. From Transfer Pass. Have a look at the maps here for where the transition zone is. Check the link in the description for a video specifically showing this route. B. From Forsaken Airfield through a cave system. Have a look at the map here to see where the transition cave is located. Just a little note about the cave system, both the one from Forsaken Airfield and Zone of Contamination join up and lead to Sundered Pass. So the cave is quite confusing, and just a little warning, there is a wolf located in the cave at some point, but it's in quite an open area, so I'm sure you'll notice it. C. From the Zone of Contamination to Sundered Pass. Have a look here on the map. I've marked the transition cave. This one, as I said, meets up with the cave that leads from Forsaken Airfield as well. They both lead to Sundered Pass. Step 2. Once you have entered Sundered Pass, you will need to make your way to the weather station. Just a few little tips on this new region. It is extremely cold, and there are areas where there's a huge amount of timber wolves, and even a bear roaming as well. There are a lot of rope climbs in this region. The weather is pretty variable. So yeah, there are a few ways to get to the weather station. I'm going to go over a few of the routes. Obviously, there's always more roads to roam, but here are 3 routes you can follow. Route 1. This is if you have entered through the transition cave, as you can see on the map here, the one that connects from Forsaken Airfield and Zone of Contamination. This route is the shortest route, I guess, if you've entered from this location. Here you can follow along with the video to see where you need to go. Route 2. If you have entered from the transition from Transfer Pass, this is one of the routes you can take to the weather station. This does involve a rope climb. It is a bit of a shorter route. There is one more route that's a lot longer. Follow along here to see where you need to go. Route 3. This is quite a long route, and it's a bit dangerous as it goes past the area where there's various packs of timberwolves and a bear roaming. However, I've included it because it's maybe more of an exploratory route, so if you want to have a bit more of an explore of the region as you make your way up to the weather station, this is probably a good route to take. Follow along on the video to find your way. Step 3. Once you have made it to the weather station, you're going to need to wait for either an aurora or glimmer fog in order to reveal the first objective. As a little note up here, there's a possible rifle spawn and there's also a safe. So once you've got an aurora or glimmer fog, using the signal radio, this will lead you to uncover a cache or a lockbox under the snow. From this, you're going to receive the foreman's technical log, a Polaroid which shows a clue for the next location, and an old house key. Step 4. So from the Polaroid, we can see that we're looking for a cabin. It's surrounded by trees and there's high mountains behind it, so we can assume that it's down in the lower valley. Follow along for the route from the weather station to the cabin. So this is what the cabin looks like. The front door will actually be unlocked. So the key that you got will be for a door inside the cabin. So here is the door you'll need to unlock, and you'll find a few items inside. In here you're going to find tactical gloves. There's also a safe in here. And as well you're going to find the foreman's technical log too, as well as another Polaroid which is a clue for the next location. Step 5. From the Polaroid we can see we need to find this location, which is kind of like a broken down house. This is the location on the map. I'm not going to go through every single route in this video, but I am going to show you a route that I found useful. I think it's somewhat of a shortcut. It does involve a rope climb and a bit of goating, but it also avoids a few packs of timberwolves, which in my book is always a good thing. Follow along for the route. If you are curious about the other potential routes, there is a cave system on this new region which has a variety of entrances and exits. I still I'm not 100% familiar with it myself, therefore that's why I haven't included that method, but there is a way you can kind of skip through the cave system in order to get to where you need to go. However, that still pretty much ends you up at this kind of vista point that I end up for this too. Another way would be to go towards the entrance from Transfer Pass and kind of go up around the road and follow the road all the way up to that valley. But that's quite a long way around. Just a few little notes as you come here. This house you can actually get into, you just have to go up to the window instead of trying to get into one of the doors below. So you can hide out there while you're waiting for the aurora or glimmer fog, as here you will see there is a basement, which is where you will need to look around for the next clues. However, once you arrive here, you will have to wait for aurora or glimmer fog, as this will be covered in snow. It will be a huge mound of snow. Another warning that there's timber wolves and a bear roaming in this area. Like, there's a lot of timber wolves in this area, so yeah, definitely be prepared for that. So once you've got an aurora or glimmer fog, you'll be able to find your way to this mound of snow to uncover the basement that we just saw, as you can see here. In here, you're going to find Rudiger's Diary 1, as well as another Polaroid which tells you where you need to go next. Step 6. After we've been to Rudiger's basement and found the next clues, we're going to have to make our way to the high peak. Here is roughly what the route looks like. A few warnings for this part of the tail of the route. Again, watch out for timberwolves and a bear here. There are a few places you can stay along the route. But just keep in mind that it is extremely cold, so you're really going to have to watch out for your temperature. There are also a total of 4 rope climbs, as well as a few rose hips climbs, the little ones where where it's okay if you're encumbered. But it's definitely quite a trek to get to the next point we need to get to. So follow along the next part for the route, and I'll point out a few things along the way as well. So up here there's a cave that you can stay in, and there is a bit of firewood around here. But if we continue up here, you'll see this. This is what is shown on the Polaroid. So if we head up here, firstly you're going to see some snow ahead of you, and we're going to get the prompt to clear the snow. Coming up here, you're going to see another cave where you can stay at if you need to, before the last rope climb. Once you've made it up to the high peak, you're going to find 2 items, which is the Foreman's Technical Log 3, Polaroids showing an area inside a bunker, and Rudiger's Diary Entry 2. So when the objective updates, it will tell you to return to the Omega Bunker. This is in Forsaken Airfield. Do not worry if you have not done the transmitter towers and those tails in your current save. The Omega Bunker will still be findable if you have just previously done the tails, whether it's in the current save or a previous save. If you are starting a completely fresh new game and you haven't done the previous tails at all before, then yes, as I said in the very beginning, you will have to complete the other tails before that. Naturally, the next step is going to be heading to a Forsaken Airfield in order to go to the Omega Bunker. Just a little note, you can follow this little path down here and there's a rope climb down, and that will take you down and away from this area again. Honestly, I wouldn't stick around here too long. In my experience, it is extremely cold and you will potentially freeze to death, so I'd get your butt out as soon as possible. Step 7. So we find out that we need to head back to the Omega Bunker in Forsaken Airfield. Therefore, to get there, we need to get back to that transition cave that goes to Forsaken Airfield. On the map here, you can see the green line with the arrows. That shows where you come down from the rope climb from being at the high peak. So you kind of end up near Refuge A or Cabin A. From here, we can make our way back to where the transition cave is. I'm not going to show the whole route to getting back to Forsaken Airfield. I think you can pretty much work that out or go backwards from where you came. So yeah, I'm not going to include that whole route in here. Here is a little reminder of where the Omega Bunker is located on Forsaken Airfield. So once we get to the Omega Bunker, you're going to need to find a hidden area inside. It's not too difficult to find, really. At the end of this little room here, you'll see that you have to examine the wall and get rid of these iron sheets so that you can find where Rüdiger were staying. In here, you're going to find a number of items. Firstly, you're going to find the tactical jacket. You're also going to find the security chief's ID badge, which will unlock a feat. I'll go over these at the end. And there's also the foreman's technical log 4 with a Polaroid as well. You will also find Rüdiger's watch, which will unlock another feat. Again, I'll go over these. And lastly, you'll find Rüdiger's diary entry 3. And with all this completed, you'll receive a badge for completing the Last Horizon tale. Let's go over the 2 feats that you unlock from completing the tale. The first is called Celestial Navigator. The benefit of this is that you walk faster on a clear night or during the aurora. The second one is called Settled Mind. The benefit of this is that you are immune from cabin fever and research actions happen 20% faster. Now, personally, I think this is a pretty good feat because cabin fever is absolutely horrible. Especially if you're playing for like quite a long time in a game, it just really gets pretty frustrating. So I'm really glad about this one in particular. So that is it. That is how to complete the Last Horizon tale. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts or any input that you might want to add, for example, maybe you know a better route or you want to give some extra tips, feel free to do so in the comments. And I'd like to thank you all for watching and see you in the next one.